everyone. Welcome to Breakthrough Conversations. My name is Danielle Perry, and I am the host. And I am so excited that you're tuned in today because guess what? This is the first episode of 2025. But if this is your first time, this is a Christian podcast which features people of all ages, and they share a bit of their story about how God has helped them to overcome a difficult challenge, situation, or season in their lives, or maybe they're on their way to overcoming with God's help. And they do share authentically. Well, like I said, I am excited that you're tuned in today for this new episode of the new year. And y'all, this episode features a dear friend, a dear bro of mine, and he's none other than Mr. Lamar West. And the title of this episode is Godliness with Contentment After Crushed NFL Dreams. Wow. I thank you, Shaida, for suggesting your husband to be on this podcast because like you said, he definitely has a lot to say, a lot to share, and it's all good stuff. Lamar, thanks again for sharing just a little bit of your story. If you're familiar with Lamar, then maybe you know a little bit about his journey. You're going to hear how because he surrendered his life to Christ, he was able to find contentment despite not making it into the NFL. But y'all, without further ado, here it is. I want you to enjoy and be blessed. Well, y'all, I'm excited because I have my brother on today. He's none other than Mr. Lamar West. What's going on?
What's going on, Danielle? How are you?
I'm well. How you doing?
Good. Happy to be here. Thanks for the invite.
Thank you for accepting the invitation. Absolutely. I appreciate it, even though your wife threw your name out there, but it's all good. So I have you on today. I don't have a title yet, but I know that by the end of this episode, I would have come up with something. Okay.
Sounds good.
So before we hop into the questions, go ahead and share with our audience a little bit about who you are.
Yeah, Lamar West, father of 5 children, been married 11 years. My wife and I, we met in high school. Mm-hmm. And so, it's been a long time together. But no, love my wife, and shout out to her.
Yeah.
Morgan State graduate.
Mm-hmm. It's all good. I ain't gonna hate. It's all good.
I know. I'm in here with the Towson Tigers.
My husband's a Morgan Bear, so yeah. I'm with it.
Absolutely. But yeah, played football there. Had the privilege and opportunity to play on a football scholarship there.
Okay.
So that's a part of my journey. But ultimately, right now, I'm doing some nonprofit work with some of my teammates, and that's really blessing me. And it's where I'm working with young people, and that's important. I work for the city of Baltimore as well too. That's an important community work in what I'm doing there as well too. And that's me in a nutshell.
Okay. Well, I am super excited to hear more about your story because I don't know much of it. So we're gonna hop into the questions. So the first question that I have for you is just for you to share a little bit about your upbringing. Who was Lamar as a little boy?
Wow, as a little boy. That's I thought about that because I figured you was going to ask that one straight out the gate. Just a little boy, athletic. Sports was always a big part of my life. But also, I grew up a little faster than a lot of my friends.
Okay.
Grew up in a single-parent household. Okay. I'm a 90s kid, outside playing football, basketball, listening to music, running around in the street, doing everything of that nature. But I could truly say I grew up faster than a lot of my other counterparts of my friends just due to some of the things that I saw on a daily basis. Okay. I grew up in a single-parent home, like I said.
And with your mom, right?
With my mom.
Okay.
My mom raised me. But behind closed doors, I knew that my mom was struggling with addiction. I knew since I was 7, 8 years old what that looked like. And being a 90s kid, you're faced with a lot of, opposition because you're in school. There's DARE programs. There's Say No to Drugs campaign.
Right.
But ultimately, I know what's going on in my home, so I become the protector. Mind you, I'm bigger than my mom by 9, 10 years old. She's a small woman, so I'm on protector mode all the time. So I think that's, a big part of who I am, how I became so family orientated, how my faith walk started, and how my journey kind of just cultivated around family, sports, taking an opportunity on myself to kind of cultivate a different, path for everyone who was related to me. So.
Okay. And did you have any siblings? I don't know if you said that.
Yeah. So my younger sister, 3 years younger than me,
Okay.
and we grew up together. But then later on, my mom had 2 other children. And,
Okay.
And of course, my dad. I have a lot of brothers and sisters.
Okay.
With my dad, I have 2 brothers, 2 other sisters, and everything like that. We don't do the half brother, half sister
Okay,
things.
I hear you.
Brothers and sisters.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
no matter what.
Yeah.
And,
Okay. I like what you said about your upbringing helped you later on in life to be more family or to be family oriented. I think it can be that or the total opposite. Like you go through so much trauma that you kind of get away from family and wanting to be family oriented. So I'm glad you stuck with the being family oriented part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So did you grow up in church at all?
So church is like a 50-50 coin flip, right?
Okay.
So it was a lot of Fred Hammond and Kurt Franklin being played in the house, Uncle Fred taught us how to worship, man, for real. So, and I think my mom's background, so just let me give you a little bit about that. My mom, my grandfather is a Baptist minister, he's been gone for a couple years now. He passed away. But, I think that there was a remnant of church. I think that there was a respect and a reverence for it.
Okay.
I just think that there wasn't a lifestyle pattern that was being walked out for us. And I'll say that through my elementary and middle school years.
Okay.
I knew that, moms was praying her way through some things. But ultimately, did we go to church every Sunday? No. Did we go to church for some seasons? Yes.
Okay.
It wasn't until later where my mom became a minister under my grandfather.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that's a whole nother part of the story. But
Wow.
my high school years were centered around, knowing that my mom was a minister, but knowing that she still was, battling with what she was battling with on a personal level. And so church, there was always, like I said, there was always a reverence for Christ. There was always the knowledge of Christ, but was the lifestyle being walked out daily in front of me to embody, to see it for myself, to know that it was true and obtainable? No, not really.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that came, I'm sure, later, which we'll get to.
Came later, yeah.
Okay. So talk about football. What made you want to start playing football?
Football was like, like I said, I'm a 90s kid. So Emmitt Smith, Jerry Rice, Steve Young, Reggie White, Bruce Smith, like the greats, everything that my sons watch now and all the kids out here, I saw it in person.
Right.
So, just playing football outside. Like you would watch Sunday football, Monday night football, go out on the playground the next day and live it out.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like that was just the thing. We were outside kids. So, and really, I knew early what I wanted to do in life.
Okay.
I'm going to the NFL.
Okay.
And the NFL is going to change the dynamics of my family. Like I'm 7 years old, 8 years old. I'm sold out for that dream. Nothing's going to stop me. And the crazy part about it was, I can, my homeboys was here. They tell you I was kind of good. You know what I mean? Early.
I'm not going to say I was good, but my homeboys would say I was kind of good.
Let other people tell you that you're great. You know what I mean? Just put the work in. So, and I was a little different. Like they used to, I got made fun of a little bit in a good way. Like, oh, you doing push-ups at 10, 11, 12? Like, what's wrong with you? Like, why are you drinking milk all the time? Like, you don't want to drink no sodas with us. So,
so you were really dedicated.
I was I was a little different. I went outside and did all the things that kids would do.
Yeah.
But when it came down to sports, football, I was super, super serious. I was trying to develop a regiment for myself. And I think it was because of what I was seeing at home that I needed that. I needed that regimen. I needed a way to be able to be calculated and be prepared. So, yeah.
Okay. Now, with that regimen, right, and with you, because how young did you start actually playing for a team?
I started playing 7 years old.
7.
Organized football. Right?
Organized football. So did football help to keep you out of trouble?
It did, but the Bible says foolishness is an art of a child. So you're going to find trouble, you're going to find trouble. But I think football, for the most part, it kept me academically sound as well, too.
Okay.
But I think even as I look at it, I could have probably pushed myself a little bit more. I was one of those, I'm going to get the work done and I'm going to get it right, but I'm not really going to study too hard or do, the necessary things to, have a 4.0 or whatever that may, cause to be an excellent student. But for football, yeah, I'm doing that.
Gotcha.
Whatever needs to be done to be great, I'm dedicated to that. But yeah, football kept me around a lot of people that, I held accountable, and they helped me stay accountable as well too. The men in my life, the coaches, that was very important for me.
I was going to ask about that. Okay.
Yeah, with not having a father in my home. Shout out from my youth league coaches to my college coaches, and most of those men I still talk to this day.
Awesome. That's great.
To this day.
Yeah.
And so, big influences on me. But did I still, get in trouble? I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did you say where you grew up?
So I
don't think you said that.
I'm a half-breed, so I moved back and forth. I was born in Baltimore, right? So my mother and my father met at Morgan. So I'm really a Morgan kid, you know what I mean? So my mother's originally from, Newark, New Jersey.
Okay.
And so we moved back and forth. My mom went to the military early, and so I was, raised by my grandmother in those early years. And so moved back and forth from Baltimore. And a lot just due from 7 to like 13, we lived in Baltimore, but then all of my high school years, we were back in Jersey and things of that nature. So moved around a lot here in Baltimore as well too. So, we say Baltimore, not Baltimore, if you're really from here. So
that is the truth.
That comes out a little
I
bit.
I sure enough say Baltimore because I am not from here. So you are right about that.
Right.
Okay. Right. So talk about what led to you getting a scholarship. Did you get a full ride to Morgan?
Full ride to Morgan.
Wow.
Yeah,
so your football accolades up until that point must have been really great. So talk about that.
Yeah. I got an opportunity to play at Malcolm X Shabazz High School in Newark, New Jersey. And so it was kind of like I knew that that's where I was going once we moved back to New Jersey. My mom had kind of orchestrated it like, hey, you're going to go here, you're going to go here.
Okay.
Just because of that tradition. She cheerleaded for Shabazz. My aunt ran track there. We had cousins and family members that played there as well, too. So I knew of the school. I was in Newark like every summer as well too.
Okay.
So that was one thing. I'm always with my grandmother. I'm always in Newark every summer. So even those elementary and middle school years, we're in Newark almost every summer.
Gotcha.
So I'm there. I'm aware of the neighborhood. I'm aware of the culture. I'm aware of the kids. I'm interacting with them in the summertime. I know, you know. So moving back, it wasn't like it was a foreign land. But yeah, high school did well. Was able to play on some good teams. Was able to, do a lot of individual things that I'm proud of. Didn't bring home the ring. Sorry, Shabazz, I love you. But individually, I was able to do some things and be a player that is down. And see, our history of Shabazz is we produce a lot of great players. And so I've played with some great players. I've blocked for some great players. And I would hope that they would say I'm a great player as well too. So, but yeah, all state, all county, all conference. Yes, I did those things.
Now, what positions did you play?
I played middle linebacker in high school, and I played offensive guard. That's a different time. We ran the wing T. That's an old school offense. Okay. So it was fun. I enjoyed it. My teammates are like my brothers still to this day. We talk, we converse, and now we the old heads at the games, yelling and screaming at the younger kids about tradition and things like that. So, yeah.
Now I know you say you were back and forth from Jersey to Baltimore, but I hear more of a Jersey accent. I have a cousin who lives in Baltimore, and she actually grew up in Maryland. I'm sorry, she lives in Jersey, but she grew up in PG County. She moved to Jersey at about 12. But like you would not know it because her Jersey accent is so thick. And I'm like, girl, you are not even from here like that. But it's okay. But I hear the Jersey accent more than I do the Baltimore accent.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. So, all right. So you get a full ride to Morgan State. Were there any other colleges that you could have gone to?
Yeah, actually. So that was Wow. So really, I mean, of course, growing up in the 90s, Penn State, Florida State, you know, I feel like I'm big enough to go to all of those schools, you know, that's the goal. Like, man, go play ACC football at the time, Big East football, Big Ten, you know, Penn State, all the big schools. I keep saying Penn State because they ain't recruit me. But, but yeah, got an opportunity. One of my teammates, as a matter of fact, he went to University of Minnesota, and I remember him or maybe someone putting in the bug that, hey, man, this kid is good. This Lamar West kid. My nickname in the area is Afro. I'll tell you about that another time off camera.
Okay.
Yeah. Funny stories, right? I used to have hair. But, yeah, so remember I came into practice a little later than expected. And I missed kind of like the film study with the University of Minnesota. And I remember him saying to me, like, this is Lamar West. This is the kid making 100 plus tackles a year. He said, where's the rest of them? So basically, he was just kind of insinuating that I was too small. He was like, this is Big Ten football. He was like, you know, gain some weight, get a little taller. I'll come back and recruit you, and walked out. And I was like, wow.
How old were you then?
I was a junior in high school. So
wow.
was that 17? You know, 16, almost going into 17. And I could have been crushed, but really what it did was it just made me kind of just work harder. You know, it really did. It made me say, oh, okay, I'm too short, I'm too slow, I'm too, okay. And so just worked all summer, all off season, like nothing before. But the schools that did recruit me were like Central Michigan, even Rutgers. They gave me the hometown state. They gave me a partial scholarship, and I was like, man, partial scholarship? I'm like, man,
beautiful.
My mother ain't going to no school. Hofstra, you know, they don't have a football program anymore. University of Maine, Stony Brook, Fordham, up in the Bronx. You know, so there were a lot of, at the time we called them D1AAs, but they're called FCS now. So it was a lot of schools, about a good 9 or 10 that I had scholarship offers to. But yeah, chose Morgan State.
Chose Morgan. So talk about your time at Morgan. Talk about what it was like playing football. How different was it from high school in the years prior? Oh,
listen. You get to college and you think you know, until you get out on that field and everything's like, and it's 2 times, 3 times faster. You know what I mean? So, I mean, of course, everybody's all state, all county, all everything when you get there.
Yeah.
So you really gotta, you know, you gotta be mentally prepared for that as well too. And if you're not ready to compete, Division I football or basketball or soccer or any sport isn't for you. So mentally being prepared as well as the physical component, because if the physical component isn't up to par, it could weigh on the mental as well too. So I've seen a lot of guys, man, you know, sneak out the back door during camp, you know, guys like, hey man, this might not be for me. But a band of brothers at Morgan's, it's nothing like the HBCU experience. You know, shout out to everybody who's been, you know, or is an HBCU alum. Those people that I met at Morgan are like the godparents to my children now, you know, like lifelong relationships and things of that nature. Still talk to them to this day. They're over my house. I'm at their house. We're at homecoming just recently. So a great experience. Won some games, played some great defense, tackled some people. Had some injuries that I think, you know, we'll talk about later, but just an experience. I thought that I knew a lot of things from my upbringing, but that was just an associate's degree, you know, really, like literally in life, really got a course for life during my HBCU experience.
Okay. So you go through your freshman year, no injuries or anything of any sort, and then your sophomore year, you do get injured. So talk about that injury and what all was just happening in that moment.
So I'm going to say this. My freshman year when I got there, man, probably had the best linebacker core in the conference.
Okay.
You know, all my big brothers, man, you know, they were just dominant guys. And so I come in and I'm thinking, you know, like I said, I'm all state, I'm all county. You know, I'm a legend where I'm from. Like, of course I'm going to play. I get there and I'm like, oh, you're not playing. Like, you're not ready for this bump.
Okay.
So I play special teams, and because I want to play, I'm eager to play. Mind you, University of Minnesota told me I was too small. So I'm I'm really out to prove that I can play.
Yeah.
Plus, I'm the kid that was, back in Baltimore and Newark, working out, doing push-ups, running hills by himself, putting in the work.
Yeah.
I got to be great. Like, this is going to change the dynamics of my family. When I make it to the league, my mom's not going to have to go through what she's been going through anymore, So I put that onus on myself. No one ever told me that I did that to myself. So, but I get to my sophomore year and I work my tail off during the off season.
Okay.
I gain the weight, I'm stronger, I'm bigger, I'm faster, I'm everything. So I earn the starting spot. And we get to about game 4. I think Hampton was game 4, game 5. And this is a big game for us because Hampton was top dog. They used to beat us like a drum back in the day. Like boom, boom, boom. Like, get up out of here. Like, they were top dog in the MEAC, 04, 5, and 6. Like, so I'm starting. We playing in the Meadowlands. That's the old Giant Stadium, Jets and Giant Stadium. I'm in Jersey. The newspapers calling me. They doing an interview on me. Hey, Lamar, man, hey, coming home. You're going to have family members. They did an article on me and everything like that. So it was just great to be home. Yeah. Family was there, all the above, people from the neighborhood. So it's great. I say around, now mind you, we had just had a game versus Savannah State the week before. And I played well. I had about like 12 tackles. Played well. We won the game. It was an HBCU Classic. We were in the Cleveland Browns Stadium. So it's a good feeling. I'm coming off. I'm young. It's my first year starting. I played well. Yeah. So now I'm going into the next game. I'm home. We're playing against a great team. Yeah. Excuse me. And so it's just a regular play. You never played football, but, you're supposed to scrape over the top and, go make the tackle. And I won't throw any shade towards the Hampton offensive linemen. They played football. They weren't dirty players or anything like that. But, one of the guys, hit me on my legs, and simultaneously another guy, fell on top of my head. Oh, wow. Right. And instantly I heard a exactly like that. And just was almost an out-of-body experience. I'm laying there, and everything just kind of slows down a little bit. And mind you, it's about 50, 60,000 people in the stand. So it's loud. Bands are going. This is when HBCU football was on BET, all the above. So, just painting a picture for you. It's a lot of people in the stands. Yeah, it's a huge moment. And everything is slowing down for me. So I'm like, so it's the first time ever in my life where I hear myself talking to myself like, Lamar, get up. Like, what you mean, get up? So I'm talking like, Lamar, get up. And I'm like, oh, I can't move. And instantly, this rush just comes over me. I just get emotional. And I said, man, I'm paralyzed. I can't move. And all of this is happening within like 25 seconds. From the time I'm down on the ground to the trainers running to me, this is all happening. And I remember just kind of like a tear rolling down in my eye, me just like saying, Lord, whatever you want me to do, I'll give you my life. Because like I said, I had had conversations with God. I knew how to pray. I knew certain scriptures. I knew, you know what I mean? But was I walking the walk? Right. Was I walking as a young man of integrity? Was I walking as a living epistle read of men? No. And I just knew right there. I don't liken myself to Paul, but that was a Paul on the road to Damascus kind of experience for me. Like right then and there, I just knew I needed to give my life over right there. Wow. Not to walk per se, but just to change. Like that experience changed my whole life, right then and there on that ground. And right then and there, I just knew I was going to be different. If I had the opportunity to, playing football, just to walk. And so by the time, and I remember, we call him Uncle T, Todd Smith. Shout out to Uncle T, man, because he walked this next season that comes after the injury with me, man. He's like an uncle to us all. But he said, Ma. And now affectionately, everybody who is in my relatives, my family, they call me Mar. And so it's like he just called me Mar from the beginning. He said, Ma, what's wrong? And when he touched me, I kind of felt his touch. And I was like, oh, woo. Yeah. And I said, oh, no, I'm good. Because mind you, I'm this big, strong linebacker. Now I don't want to tell nobody that I'm hurt. See, I come from that cloth where, you get hurt, you don't tell nobody you hurt. I don't know what happened. The wind got knocked out of me, but I sent you the video. You can see my hand moving. So I'm involuntarily, my limbs are moving. And when I saw, let me give you some context on that. Like, I had never, it wasn't like I was afraid to ever look at that video. I just had never saw it. Like, I never went back in the archives and found it. So just a little bit of context. I'm a part of the social media team for the Morgan State Alumni Association. Okay. So we watch old film, chop it up, just kind of, give shout out to the old guys who used to play and things posted on social media. So I'm looking through content for other people, and I see that, and I said, wow, and it's about a year ago.
Oh, wow.
The first time I seen that thing, it happened about almost 20 years ago.
Wow.
And then I got a chance to hear what the commentators were saying about me, and it kind of just put a lot of things into perspective, like, all right, Lord, I hear you. Like, it's time to start talking about this. How, how this changed your life and how you've, patterned what you've taught and how you've mentored and how you've coached and how you've raised your children, in the area of, being a Christian athlete. And so, yeah.
Wow, that's powerful. That is so powerful. Wow. So were there any family there at that game?
Everybody was there.
You said there was a lot of people there, right?
Mom was there. Wife was there. She wasn't my wife at the time. Yeah. But she was there. Family members, homeboys from the neighborhoods. And, homeboys. They would choke me out if I said that. My brothers, you know what I mean? So everybody's there. Everybody's there. It's about a good 50, 60 people there.
Wow.
My grandmother's there. So, it's the Meadowlands. It's an NFL stadium, so it's not like they could get down to me.
Right.
And I sat out for a few series, kind of got myself together, my bearings together. But my hands was on fire. My neurological system was just totally off. But being the big silly linebacker that I was, I'm like, hey man, I'm ready to get back in there. And was probably 5 steps too slow towards everything. I watched the film later on, years later. I was like, boy, you was hurt. But just trying to will myself, because I had worked so hard, and I put myself at risk to get hurt and to even be, and no shade to the doctors or training staff or anything like that. I could fake the funk, you know what I mean? I can get back on the field. And, that really just, it started a journey, you know what I mean, right after that.
So you got back into the game.
I got back into the game. It was silly me.
Now, did you know what was wrong at all?
I didn't know what was wrong, but I knew, I could say it now, but I knew, in high school, I probably messed my neck up. I knew it then. We played a different brand of football, late 90s, early 2000s. It was, man, hit or be hit. It was different. You don't cry about nothing. I had some coaches who could not coach nowadays, you know what I mean? But love them all, respect them all, for sure.
Wow. So how many more games did you play before the injury just, I don't know any better way to say it, took you out and you couldn't play anymore?
So here's the thing. I missed 6 games after that. Went and saw a lot of medical doctors, went to doctors all across Maryland, Pennsylvania. They took me, Morgan, my family, man, they took care of me. So, we were looking for someone to clear me. A lot of people wouldn't clear me. I had doctors look me in my face and say, Lamar, you broke your neck. The wrong, healed up. We see scar tissue. I got so many diagnoses. You have cervical stenosis. This is a genetic disease that your spinal column is narrowing and things of that nature. So I'm listening to these guys. And I remember Dr. Pack. Shout out to Dr. Pack. You know what I mean? He was the first one. Union Memorial. We went over there. We saw him, me and Uncle T. And I remember, we got an MRI. And I'm thinking, hey, I'll be out a week or two, because I'm feeling better. After a few weeks, I'm feeling like myself. And he said, Lamar, man, I don't know how to tell you, but I can't clear you to play. And I'm looking at him both in his eyes like I'm looking at you. And I said, man, I said to him, I said, man, God didn't say that to me like that. Man, he walked out that room. Me and Uncle T just held each other. We just started bawling, crying like, oh my, and we cried. He cried with me, and we just cried. And so, you know, I thank Todd. I really do. Every time I see him, we embrace each other. It's just a great hug. And he tells me all the time, man, I talk about you all the time, man, about that season we went through and all of the above. But we finally went to a doctor up in PA, and he told me, you know, what was going on with me, and he cleared me to play. And I came back my junior year. I wasn't really healthy. I still wasn't as healthy as I possibly could be. And I think it was just nerves, you know, mentally. That's why I said, you know, mentally you have to be prepared for any, you know, sport that you commit to.
Yeah.
If you're not physically, you know, capable of doing what you need to do at a top tier level, especially at that level, you know, it'll mentally wear on you. And I think there were a lot of extraneous variables as well as too that were going on in my life with relatives in Jersey, with my mom per se, you know. This is a time where it wasn't a battle with addiction anymore. Okay. It's like she was losing the battle, you know, and so this is a lot going on. And I thank God for that opportunity to really be settled, you know, because football was not the main thing. It had always been the main thing since I was 7 years old. Here I am. I'm a father now as well, too. Forgot to add that on in there. Okay. You know, Sair is young. And I'm like trying to navigate through all of that at the same time. But I just had these doctors a year ago tell me that, Lamar, you can get hit the wrong way, end up in a wheelchair. Like, I don't know how many people have had doctors tell them that. Like, that's different. You know, at that time, I'm known to be this strong guy. You know, I'm known to be this gladiator, this warrior. Now you tell me that I could possibly not do the things that I felt as though God created me to do. And that was confusing to me. And so my junior year, I really wasn't healthy that much. A lot of my teammates don't know that. My coaches don't know that. Like, I was happy. Like, hey, man, we're going to sit you up. Okay, thank you. No, I want to play. I'm hurt. I don't know what's going on with my body. It wasn't until my senior year that, you know, I really just took ownership of, you know, I always was a workout guy, always. You know, my grandfather bought me a weight set at 12 years old. Oh, wow. And me and my homeboys used to work out in front of my house, you know what I mean? So, but I really just took ownership of the way I was walking spiritually as well, too, you know, and I was getting fed. And that was the biggest component. I was getting fed spiritually as well as physically. And that was, I believe, how I overcame that. In my senior year, I played. I was healthy enough, and I finished the whole season. We did well. We played well. A couple chinks in the armor here and there, regular football stuff. But as far as my neck and things of that nature, I walked off the field every game, and that was a blessing in itself.
Wow. So was your neck the only injury that you had?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all I needed.
Absolutely. Right. So, okay, so let's talk about the spiritual journey, because you said to God in that moment of you lying on that ground that, you know, I'll surrender to you, God. I'll give my life to you. So did it happen, like, after you got up and after you know, a couple days passed, like, were you on fire for the Lord at that point?
No way, Jose. I went straight to the party. It's like, I just think that, like, I knew that I wanted to, and that was my thing, you know. I was so afraid to live a life that, you know the word, but, you know, it's a form of godliness, you know, as the Bible says. And I was so afraid of that because I saw that around me, you know. You know, I know my mom was battling what she was battling with, but, you know, that I identified with what that looked like. And I said that if I ever wanted to be on fire for God, I wanted to be on fire for God. But I think that I was doing what a lot of immature, you know, young men do. I'm going to get myself together before I get to God. It's like, man, who are you fooling?
Yeah.
You know, who are you fooling? That's not how it goes. And so like I said, that junior year for me was very tough, was very hard for me. And I admit that. I wouldn't have admitted it then, but as I've gotten more mature and I've looked at that season of my life, and I've had to utilize it to kind of help others, it's made me reflective and just to say how merciful God was during that time. Because I was involved with a lot of stuff, you know what I mean, at that time. And so it wasn't until, like I said, that senior year. But shout out to Uncle Joe Wright, man, and Coach Hill. You know, they would take us to different churches during summer camp. Okay. And I remember, man, coming to the league and hearing PL preach. And I'm like, okay. And I'm going to say it like this, like growing up in a Baptist church, like it was a lot of, you know, my grandfather, you know, a lot of.
I grew up Baptist.
Yeah. So, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I know this flow a little bit. You know what I mean? I heard my grandfather. My mom, man, when my mom was on fire, she was doing well. And she was, you know, she could preach. Okay. You know what I mean? So, PL, when I seen PL, I said, all right, here's me again, keeping it in my, you know, my possession. Okay. All right, when I'm ready to cut back, I'm going to that church.
Now, what year was that? This was
my junior year. Was I at the league my junior year? It wasn't my sophomore year. It was one of them years. Okay. So this 05 and or 06.
Okay.
I could have my dates mixed up. I played a lot of football, a lot of concussions. So,
so when I joined,
they all run together.
When I started visiting Living Waters, it was at the end of 2005. They were already at Taylor.
Okay. So then that must have been my freshman year. We was at the league then.
Okay.
Because I do remember, like, the first time I came back to Living, I came to 1045. I was like, hey, I need to get saved, y'all. Come on.
I'm ready.
Help me out. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
What's up?
Yeah.
Walked up in there like, time y'all service start.
Now, how old were you then?
I was 21.
Okay.
Yeah, I was 21.
21.
Had waves in my hair, you know. So, but yeah, I was 20. Yeah, I remember coming to 1045.
Okay.
And the crazy part about it is like that place, man. That place blessed me so much, man, because it was like full circle moment for me. Like I used to live in Baltimore. I grew up in that area. Like I used to play football across the street. We played softball. I played over there. I lived around the corner. Like that used to be a real movie theater. Like it used to be $1.75 movie theater. I saw Beauty and the Beast there with my mom and my sister, and I saw Mortal Kombat. Me and my cousin Marie went up there. Like real talk. Yeah. So when I walked up in there, I'm like, oh, that's a church.
Right.
I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. And I forgot how I found out, and it was at 1045. I believe, I'm going to have to pray on it. Lord, give me revelation. Was it somebody told me that they was over there, and that's the same church that was at the league, and then I was like, oh, yeah, I need to go up there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you remember the first time.
Because I remember the first time, right. I remember the first time I heard PL preach. And I was like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Wow. Let's see, where do I want to go from? So you mentioned that you were a young dad, right?
Yeah.
And all those things were going on at the time of your injury. So just talk about what it was like raising your son while in college, while enduring through that injury, and even maybe now realizing that your dream for the NFL might not happen. So I kind of want you to hit on that too. Like, when did you start to realize, I don't know if I'm going to make it into the league at this point? Yeah. But also talk about your son as well.
Yeah, so having Sayer early, Sayer was my oldest son. He's 18 now. He's at James Madison University playing football and doing well in school. He's a business major. That's a blessing, man.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah. He's such a great young man. Oh, my goodness. Y'all did a great job.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, y'all did a really great job.
I got to make him take a knee now if I need to choke him out. But
he's so big.
Yeah, man, this dude is crazy.
He's so big.
Yeah, crazy. But yeah, I just know that I wanted to be at the beginning. Just like, you know, my dad and I, we have a respectful relationship now. We're able to come together. We hug, we embrace, you know. But and I think God really He really healed me early. Like, I never really we never had those conversations like, why weren't you? Or I just feel like God just helped me walk out forgiveness in front of my sons.
Wow.
So that, and I always told my sons, I said, look, I'm going to be the one that disappoints you. I'm going to be the one that maybe hurts your feelings here and there. I'm human, but let me tell you about this Heavenly Father that I know. And that was a great segue for them to kind of understand, because I was very transparent with them. Like, I never was like, I'm dead, just listen to me and you'll be fine. Like, nah, man. Me, Shaida, Lamar, and Sire, we always say it like, we grew up together.
Okay.
Like, we were kids. Shaida was still 19. I just turned 20. I'm born May 27th. Sire born 3 days after my birthday on the 30th. So I had just turned 20. And he was born 3 days before that, after that. So, you know, so basically I point that out to say, at the beginning, a lot of young men that grew up how I grew up, we just want to be better than our dad. Like, that's, but then after a while, a couple years in, it's like that reserve is run dry. You know, it's like, I can't continue to just try to be better than somebody. It's not enough, you know? So,
I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, it's not enough, you know, it's not sustainable. And so, whatever it may be, you know, I know some brothers that I grew up with, they were hurt, they're upset, they're bitter. I wasn't any of those things, you know. I really was remorseful, really wanted to know, like, you know, where did he go left? What happened with him? Where was his mental about it, you know? And, you know, shout out to my grandfather, his father, who kind of, I won't say that he stepped up to be a father to me, but he is like a father to me. Okay. And I don't think he did it just to be like, oh, man, well, my son didn't. He did it because that was just who he is. I'm born on his birthday, as a matter of fact, though, too. So we're just duly connected. But we talk every day, every other day. He's 82 years young now.
And he looks good. I remember him at Sahir's party.
Yeah.
He looks good.
Yeah, and so he's always been there, accessible. And I appreciate that for sure. And we've never had that conversation. Like, we just never talked about, just was there. And that was very important for me and my development. With all those coaches I had and with my grandfather, I felt like, you know, even through my mom's addiction, even through things that we went through, you know, we didn't have a lot, but we had love, you know, we had correction. You know, my mom's addiction, you know, like, it was a little different because she was kind of in the house with us. You know, she wasn't gone. We didn't see her like, we saw her, but we saw her, you know, in that state, you know, and it was just, you know, so me being a father, it was just kind of like, all right, well, we're going to have everything that we need, right? I'm going to do my best to provide. And one thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to be there. Like, those are the prerequisites at the beginning. Like that, I think that's what a lot of young fathers start with. Like, I'm gonna just be there. I'm gonna just be present. I'm gonna just be there. And we had a village, though. When I say we had a village, we had a village. You know, between my family, you know, Shaida's family. Like, I've never seen. It's almost was like, why was y'all supporting these kids like this, having this baby? Like, you know what I mean? But just, Sair is really a love baby. Like, we just received so much support and help and assistance. Like, he really was. And at his party, you were there. Like, that was just really the main frame. And that was the theme. Like, man, this was about all of us. Everybody who poured into him, helped, loved, assisted, prayed. This was, we all celebrated together. A lot of people were like, man, congrats to y'all. It's like, no, congrats to us. Like, he is really the product of what a village can do, you know, what a village can produce. So.
Wow, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Ooh. I'm learning so much about you. This is awesome. I'm just taking it in. You have such an incredible story, and I know you haven't really touched on so much, but what you have touched on is really is blessing me. So, once you graduate from Morgan, and let's go back to the realization of maybe I'm not going to make it. So, what was that like?
Well, then I played well my senior year, enough to, I had an agent, and was trying. I talked to some NFL teams. It wasn't like I was a hot commodity, but, even like with a lot of the younger guys I've talked to in the past, mentored or trained, like, hey, all you can ask for is an opportunity.
Yeah.
And I was blessed to have an opportunity.
Okay.
The Ravens would do like an in-state workout for all like the local guys. So me and a couple of my teammates, we went and I had an opportunity to try out. Like that was a great experience for me. Had a conversation with some other teams. Had a conversation with some Canadian football teams. That was kind of the process. Like, maybe NFL, maybe Canadian Football League, and then that last part was like at the time. So this is 2008. It's 2008. And it was, so Syre's born 2006, so he's 2. And LJ's just born. And so I'm trying out for this arena football team, right? And at the time, arena football was like, it was okay. It was like, you can make a little money, do okay. There was indoor football, was a little different. And so, but I knew that it was, on the up and up. They had a little TV deal and everything like that. And I remember the team was the Colorado Crush. Okay. And I remember they had a workout, and I went out there, had a good workout. And I remember the head coach, who was also the GM, I can't remember his name, but he was feeling your boy. And I was like, okay, this might work out. And I remember we had an apartment off of Loch Raven Boulevard, across from Good Samaritan. And I remember I'm not sitting on the toilet, but I'm in the bathroom because I'm like running the kids' bathroom. Okay. So I'm sitting there, I got to give you context. So I'm like, he gave me a call. He's like, hey, Lamar, man, hey, man, I just want to let you know, man, we were ready to, offer you a deal and everything like that. But listen, man, the league is going to shut down so arena football, like the AFL, and they shut down a few times over the years. And it's just, I don't know, money-wise, somebody stealing, I don't know what's going on. And that's when I knew, I'm like, man, because at the time, like I'm watching like LJ and Syre like crawl across the floor and run around and stuff like that. And I'm like, that's what I need to focus on right there. Like I was okay and I was content. I'm the type of man, and I think all men should be. If I've given everything that I could and I've had the opportunity, and plus I just knew where I came from, as far as the injury. I'm like, man, I'm walking, I'm blessed, I'm here. Yeah. I'm like, let me finish up school and let me see what's next for me. And I think that I did well with the transition. I know a lot of guys that really don't, especially when you've been since 7 years old. I just found like my 7th and 8th grade yearbook. I'm looking at my gym teachers like, hey, remember me when you was in the NFL? Like, just all types of things like that. And it doesn't bring a sour taste to my mouth. It brings Lord, I thank you that they had that much, because you don't know what was going on at home. You don't know. I showcased that to you, that I was going to be a guy on Sundays or Monday nights. And I was going through what you didn't know what I was going through behind closed doors. I was protecting my sister, protecting my mom. You don't know what was going on. Yeah. Okay. I appreciate that. So I know God was with me, even when I didn't know he was with me. I was projecting integrity, and I was projecting some type of substance, for people to say that to me at such an early age. I had homeboys, middle school and high school, like see me now years ago on Facebook. There's no way in the world I didn't think you was going to be in the NFL, Lamar. Like, you was XYZ. And I'm like, I appreciate that. Like, that's humbling, But that was the realization. 2008, had a Ravens workout, talked to some other NFL teams, never went to Canada, and then arena football. And they said, Lamar, we're going to shut the league down. Can you stay in shape for a year? And I said, I'll do my best. Stay in contact with me. When I hung up the phone, I knew that football was over. And I was okay with that. Okay. I really was.
Wow. Okay. So you said you knew at that moment you needed to focus on your children, your family, right? So how are you now In your relationship with the Lord, did you become more serious at this point now that you knew football wasn't it? And also, what were you doing? And now that football is done with, what opportunities are you now engaging?
So, I think that to your first point, like I'm attending church, doing my best to attend regularly because I used to have a problem with being on time. Lord Jesus, I used to have a problem. He worked on me. Lord, he did. Yes. But so, yeah, I'm coming to church. Man, Quasi always tells my. I won't tell the Quasi. I'll let Quasi have it all the time. He tells that story all the time. I'm like, stop making it seem like I was the biggest villain in Baltimore, please.
Right.
I was a.
Let me tell you, Lamar.
Yeah, Lamar. Yeah, because Danielle, I was a little different than I am now. Yes, for real.
I got you.
With all seriousness, but yeah, I knew that I wanted to be at this church, man, where I saw other men there, like the men of God that I've met through Living Waters have totally blessed me. Like, because it was different. We weren't talking about football. We weren't. It was like, oh, you a man? You got a wife? Oh, you take care of your kids? You got a job? You got 2 jobs? You got a car? Oh, you don't hustle? Like, I was used to street guys. I come from a different era. Like, tough guys first. You know what I mean? You work. What do you do that for? You know what I mean? Like, so, but I think that it grew me up for sure. I already thought that I was grown, but it grew me up. That's that maturity phase that I really think that I needed. And I needed to be around, those men. So shout out to all of them. They my brothers. They know who they are, And I think for me, I felt like I wanted to coach.
Okay.
But I knew that I wanted to, coach on the highest level. Like, I'm like, oh, man, I want to go coach in college. Like, I don't want to coach no little kids. I don't got no patience. I'm being tackled a little kid. Like, you know what I mean? Like, only patient I got with kids is my kids. You know what I mean? So I think that because I was going to be a graduate assistant at Morgan. Okay. But I had children. And I remember having a conversation with Coach Hill, who was the head football coach at Morgan at the time. I was like, Coach, man, I can't work for free, man. I don't live on campus. I got an apartment. I got a son. He like, I love you, Wes, but this how a graduate assistant, assistant is. And I'm like, I was a graduate assistant for like 7 days. And I was like, Coach, man, I love you, man, but I can't do it. Yeah, I got to do what I got to do. And I appreciated that. He was real with me. He always was real with me, man. Shout out to Coach Hill. And so, job, working, 2 jobs at times. Like, all right, well, my grandfather used to always tell me, hey, them children, they have to be here. So, he like, Lamar, you can be a great father all you want, but you need some money. So, yeah. So
okay. So, as you are raising your sons, what are some of the things you're pouring into them? And I'm going to get to their latter years, but their early years. What were some of the things that you were pouring into them as a father, and were any of those things spiritual things that you were beginning to learn from your local, I guess, brotherhood at church?
Yeah, just foundational things that they needed to know about themselves, and ultimately, just giving them an opportunity to grow in a 2-parent household was important for us, and mind you, we wasn't married. We didn't get married till later. So I put that out there, living wrong. But ultimately, like, understanding, like, we want to get to that point, but just not having the right guidance, but then honestly not being mature enough to say, hey, somebody come examine our lives and let us know that we living wrong.
Gotcha.
And I think what happened was, too, because I've always been very independent and I've always been self-sufficient, and even my wife, Shaida, you know, like, they were like, oh, y'all good, y'all got it. And I think we were supported when we should have been, hey, come on over here to the side a little bit. Let me talk to you for a second. But we didn't have that. We had like our mothers, and we had our my grandmother, you know, when she was alive and things, my grandfather, but nobody kind of like pulled me up like, hey, Lamar, what you doing? Like, slow down a little bit. Like, do you intend to, like, where are you at with this? And so for a long time, like, we was in living waters, like, looking like, man, I hope PL don't rebuke me one day. You know what I mean? So, but I'm like, man, I know that there I go again, trying to, I got it. We gonna get it together. You know what I mean? But I think the foundational things that we always gave our sons were, you know, just who they were in Christ. You know, what does God say about you? What does Dad say about you? You know, what can you do? You know, you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. So foundational scriptures, you know, but ultimately letting them know what the fruits of the spirits was and how that looked, you know. You know, had different scriptures for certain. Sayer was mild and meek. LJ was brash and bold.
So
you know,
opposite.
Proverbs 3 and 5 was for him. Beginning. Okay. You know, like, hey, yeah, let the Lord establish your path, son. Like,
right.
Like, slow down a little bit. You know, he was very vocal early. Okay. Very ambitious, and so we had 2 children, same mother, same father, but totally different. Opposite personalities. So we all kind of grew up together for sure. But we knew education was one thing that we were going to pour into them. So the spiritual side was, hey, we're learning, you know, we're building off of this foundation that we want to grow with together. And I think for me, I just wanted to be on fire for God, because now I'm like, all right, now, like, I want to raise this family. I want to be trusted with this family. I want God to know that I'm serious about doing this. And so it's like, all right, I want to be a better provider, but not just financially, but spiritually, mentally, and all the above. But there are some things that I need to, you know, understand about what I'm getting myself into. You know, I'm counting up the cost as well too, you know, because I had saw it done wrong so many times through others who had titles, you know, and not just like throwing shade at my mom or anything of that nature, but it was other people that I saw as well too, right? There was quoting scripture, but no transformation after that. There was no application. Yeah. And so I was afraid of that. And I'm not saying that, like, that's what held me down to sin as much as I was doing. No, my foolish ways kept me there too. You know, I'm accountable for the things that I was doing as well too. For sure. Right? I wasn't living in right standards. So, I had some immaturity. As mature as I was, as big as bold as I thought that I was, as tough as I thought I was, I wasn't strong. You feel what I'm saying? And that's another thing as well too. Those reserves that I was pulling from. You know, my physical strength had been tested already through a neck injury. So I already knew that I had to build that spiritual capacity, right? So I think that was where I was, you know, at that time, through my early 20s and things of that nature. But I knew I had this woman that I wanted to be with, been with her since high school. And I knew that I wanted to, you know, take care of her. And I wanted to do something different, you know, and cultivate this family. I just didn't know how to do it. So, like I said, when I got to Living Waters, I saw, man, you got a wife? Oh, okay. Let me watch. How you doing that? And so what blesses me is now we had those conversations with some of them, and they're like, man, I was watching you, man. I'm like, man, I was watching you because I needed that, you know. And I think imagery and being able to watch and see has always been, like I said, going back, I'm a 90s kid. Like, you go and watch Michael Jordan, and you go outside and try to do the same things. And so I think that was very important for me at that time. But, you know, foundational scriptures for the kids and just walking out what we were getting fed spiritually as well, too. We were a part of a healthy church now, and so we wanted to regurgitate what was being given to our sons. You know, prayer was a big component, us coming together and praying together, us praying with the kids at night. That was important. Devotions in the morning. I mean, it don't matter if we had to jump in a cab at the time, because, we ain't had no car. We ain't half the time coming up, be on the bus. Yeah. We're going to get this in.
Wow.
Because I just knew that if we were doing our best to give it to them early, and see, I'm a historian of my family lineage as well, too.
Okay.
Like, I've seen a lot of the stuff that others didn't see, you know. I protected a lot of relatives from certain things, you know, just because I'm the bigger guy in the family, you know. But I was paying attention when they didn't know I was paying attention. I heard the conversation. So when I started putting spiritual context to it, I said, okay, I'm going to guard my children accordingly, right? Hereditary curses are real.
Yes. Wow. Well, I hope that you have enjoyed this episode of Breakthrough Conversations featuring Lamar West, where the title is Godliness with Contentment After Crushed NFL Dreams. If you are ready to see part 2, you will have to come back next Thursday, January 23rd at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on Facebook, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify to see the rest of this episode. Trust me, you will not want to miss it. If you haven't yet, I want you to go ahead and like this episode. I want you to share it with others who maybe can relate, or others that you know who will just be blessed. And I also want you to go ahead and leave a comment letting us know something that stood out from this episode today. In addition, please go ahead and subscribe to this channel, Breakthrough Conversations. In the meantime, everyone, enjoy your day and be blessed.